Should I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, namaskar, pranam, good afternoon. Welcome to the next episode of the celebrations which are being done jointly by Ministry of Tourism and Association of Indian Universities to celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. You all know that we had planned a 12 episode series in which we are acquainting our students, our teachers, the general public about what rich heritage, what rich culture the country has. So today is the 7th episode in that particular series. And today we have with us Binduji and Bindu Menon ji, and she has been a traveler, women traveler who has been traveling the whole country with herself and some children, and she will tell you that how rich our country is and how much we can look forward to our country rather than thinking of going to the foreign countries and exploring the foreign countries. So if we explore our own country first, then go to foreign countries, you will see that we are really culturally rich. We have many areas where the tourism is flourishing and where the people are wanting to go. And even, especially for women, they can travel alone, they can travel in a group, and they can travel solo. So that type of a sort of passion should be there with you. So Binduji, over to you. She will be telling you all about traveling and how traveling can be converted into a passion. Over to you, Binduji.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Namaste and good afternoon to all of you. And thank you for being here on a Saturday afternoon, sparing your time for this. But I promise I'll make it as exciting as possible. When I was first told that this webinar is coming up, I was very excited because I am a very passionate traveler and I am a fiercely proud Indian. So for me, I can see there's so much about India that the world should know about. And luckily for me, my job as an expat relocation specialist is all about helping expatriates coming down on long assignments to come down to India and settle down, understand the Indian culture, the do's and don'ts at corporate level, and also at a social level, and help them settle down with ease. So these are people from every part of the world, and they come in a very senior position, like a president of the company, or it could be the CEO of Tata Motors. It could be anybody like that, and they come from all well advanced countries. So when they come down here, they look at what they have in India, and before they start making their own judgments, we are there to tell them that culturally we are different, and this is why we are like this, and this is why we do like this, and therefore you should be sensitive to the environment, and you should be sensitive to the culture, and this is how you will have to move forward. So because that's my job, it's a beautiful opportunity for me to speak about India on a daily basis to people coming from abroad. So when someone told me that, when the Ministry of Tourism team told me that I have to address university students, I was very excited because the world is in your hands today. I think youth is what is driving all over the world, but I will talk about India. I think youth is driving our country. So I have some facts I've read about, in some articles. I've got some facts. I'm going to share that with you. So come with me and let's see where I'm going to take you. So we are calling, the youth of India today is our demographic dividend. So the average age is 29, and we can boast of being one of the world's fifth largest youth population, which is big. And because all of you are hooked onto your smartphones, you're so aware, you're so well informed, you're so tech savvy, anything can be done at the tip of your fingers. That's where you are today, which means you're a very lucky generation. You have it all right there. कहते हैं जिंदगी आपकी मुट्ठी में है. It's really like that, so you can use the smartphone, you can use the information that's available, you can use the opportunities that are plenty in front of you and change your country the way you want it to be. Okay. So 86% of Indians in the 10 to 25 group access the internet, which is not surprising at all. We know that internet revolution has taken India to another level, even to the rural parts of our country. If you go there, every kid out there has a smartphone, and you'll be amazed to see what all they know, not just Instagram, but YouTube channels and how they take videos. It is fascinating to see the amount of creativity that this whole internet revolution has spurred. So whatever exposure you have to news and views, you are an aspiring lot because of the information you have. You read, you watch videos, and you discuss among yourselves, and you aspire to do so much. So we're trying to tell you that what you do, you can do it in your own country to begin with. Yeah. So India Today came up with an article recently, which I think they interviewed about 8,000 young Indians and asked them what is their dream of India for the future. So, these are views expressed by youngsters like you. It says digital infrastructure is the bedrock of change. Absolutely. I think where we are today digitally, we should pat our backs, because in the world, I don't think there's any country that is rapidly moving towards a digital change. The fascinating opportunities that digital revolution has offered Indians today is something that we should be proud of. So it says, I'm sorry, I have a very bad cold, so I'm struggling with this voice. When the world thinks digital, it should think India. So says one of the youngsters. I think it is so true. There's so much happening that you don't have to look outside. You don't have to be one of the advanced countries today to say that you've arrived. We have, actually. If you look at the internet penetration, if you look at the usage. So another person says, a country which is safe for women. So parents don't pull their daughters back from achieving their dreams. What does it mean? It means if the country is safe for them, and if it is safe for them to travel, if it is safe for them to work in an environment that is safe and protective, then sky is the limit for women today. There's so many women out there who have broken the glass ceiling, and they've shown us where where, if you have the right education, if you have the right support and the encouragement from the community around you, you can reach any height you want, and you can actually see the dream that you've been nurturing all these years. So it says India is like a romantic partner, flexible, understanding, and open to change. I think that's what makes our country what it is today. The diversity, the sheer diversity that our country offers, from the language, the food, everything about the culture, the fabric, and the music, and every aspect of it. The diversity is what makes us very flexible. We are open to anything. We can adjust, and we are so adaptable, because our own country, like I always say this, it's like a continent. It's not like a country. Every state is different from the other. So we are open to so many changes around us, and that makes us very adaptable. And this is going to be one of our greatest strengths in the future. One says India is going to become one of the most famous, balanced, and welcoming countries. Welcoming, we've always been. Atithi Devo Bhava is something that we've been talking about right from day one. So I think welcoming, we've always been. It's a question of how balanced we can be now, and famous for all the right reasons. Sorry. Now there are some who are dreaming with a purpose. Okay. So one person said, India as a developed nation, we have to be self-reliant, which is so true. Today we are getting there. We are trying to be as self-reliant as possible. And that is not a dream that is too far away. And we have to recognize our own strengths before we talk about how self-reliant we can be. We have to be environment conscious. That is non-negotiable. You have to, wherever you are, environmental responsibilities, you have to take it upon your shoulders, especially the youth of India, because you are the one who's going to drive the country to where it should be, or where it can be, the potential to be. And yes, breathing clean air, that is the basic need. These are all views expressed by youngsters like you. So I'm sure you'd be able to relate to some of those views that people have mentioned here. All young adults that we're talking about. Yes, in India, where everyone is more aware, open-minded, considerate. Yes, you have to be sensitive, sensitive to another culture, sensitive to another practice that they follow, sensitive to faiths, everything. Sensitivity and kind of being considerate is very, very, it's the need of the hour today. You have to include travel in your education system. I strongly believe in that, because uh, how much can you read from books alone? You are all university students out there, and you know that one field trip that you go to, you learn so much more than just learning from books, right? I strongly believe in that. And this is what I have done for my daughter, who's 20 now and studying marine biology. I have ensured that she and her friends who grew up together, they had holidays every year. We would travel to some part of India, or the other. So what I'm trying to show you in the next few slides is that you don't have to go to one part of India that is famous, or it's in that book, or you have to go and see this monument. It doesn't have to be like that. Just step out of the city that you're in, or even the little town that you're in. You'll find one part of India that is fascinating, and you just go there with a purpose. Go there saying, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to observe a little more this time. Let me see what I learned this time when I travel. That is going to teach you much more than what you would do from the books, what you would gain from the books. Yes, I also believe in this. We have to start small. So start something like a model in maybe one little locality, which can be replicated in the same city, and then you replicate the same model successfully in another city or in another town. So if something has worked very well in one part of the country, it can very well be replicated, and we can follow it in other countries, other cities or states, sorry. So this is where I'm going to begin my travel stories. My travel stories are all real. So the pictures you see will be with my daughter or her friends, and the places are more important. See, so please focus on the place and the experiences they've had. Traveling, it leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller, said Ibn Battuta, who's the great explorer. That is so true. You go to a place and you see a particular place and you find it so beautiful. Not just the natural heritage, but every part of it, the way people live, they teach you some lesson. What they eat, how happy they are. There's so much to learn from them, right? And then you come back and tell those stories to others. And in your case today, youngsters, you can vlog, you can blog, you can write, you can have your own YouTube channel. I mean, the Insta reels that you have. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you have to go with an open mind, observe everything, and come back and tell your stories to others, so that you inspire the rest of them, and they also learn that yes, I should also step out of my usual comfort zone and travel and see new places and learn along the way. Okay. I'm trying to play a video for you. So before that, I'll tell you, all of us have a wanderlust in us. All of us have a certain strong desire to travel and explore the world. It's there inherently, but there are many reasons why we're not able to do it. But instead of suppressing it or accepting that we're not able to do it, try and come up and see what you can do in the smallest way. Even if you go just 40 minutes outside your city, and if you find something new. So when I was in college, I remember, this is like many years back, 25 years back or so. I had a friend, and he was a photographer. He was a fashion photographer. But every time we had nothing to do, we were bored on a weekend, we'd get onto my scooter, and I lived in Chennai, right? So we would just drive from my house all the way to Mahabalipuram, not to see the caves and the same monument again, but we would go and see the salt fields, how salt is made. That was so beautiful. And he could take shots, of course, and I could come back and write or tell people about it. And so just one drive out of your city. If you go to Bombay is a city like that. You just step out of the city, and there's tens of things that you can do, you can observe, you can learn, and you will discover. And what happens is, the whole concept of this presentation is explore India, discover yourself. Because each time you travel to a place, if you keep your mind open and if you're open to learning, you will pick up something new and see if it relates to some nature about yourself, some characteristic about yourself, that you can kind of find a sync. And somewhere along the line, you will probably discover yourself in the process. That's the whole idea we are talking about. Okay. So I'm calling all young Indians to travel with me to explore India and discover yourself. I am actually going to try and play a video for you. I want you to just shut your mind to everything else, And just give me a minute. This video is called Sounds of Nature, and I have enjoyed playing this video in some of my webinars. I'm sorry about some technical issues that we are having here. I'm going to just play this for you. Close your eyes to everything else and just watch this video.
You're not able to expand it?
I'll see if I can. I think it was shot in a format like this.
Make it full screen, sort of.
I'm not able to see that. Okay, so that's a video I wanted to start with, because I wanted you to know that it's my home in Kerala. It's a little village called Mannur, which is in Palakkad district. And all you will see is verdant sea, just green fields like you saw just now. So when we went home for our summer holidays, every day that was our playground. We would go sit there at the gate, talk to the farmers, watch them do their work, plant paddy in the fields. And then harvest time was so much fun, and so on. So I'm trying to tell you that if you have a rural part of India that you belong to, go back and visit that place now and see how it is, and see how things have changed, and see what you learn from there today. Okay. That video was just to tell you that the home that we belong to is where it all began, the passion for travel and the whole connect with nature that is there. Because whichever part you see, that video was shot at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning or so. And all I could hear was chirping of the birds from all over, nothing else. It was pin drop silence, but just chirping of the birds. It's so beautiful, until the peacocks came and made a lot of noise and spoiled me. So these are the children I was talking about. The girl in the center is my daughter, and the other two are her friends. And this is where they would play when they came for vacations. And they took home so many beautiful memories from here. They played with cows and goats and peacocks, and they ate fresh food from the garden. And the other two children who are from Bombay said, "We don't have to go to a resort, auntie. This is just enough for us." So if it's all there in your backyard, you just have to bring people, show them what we have, and then let them experience it. So talking about Kerala, so one of the first holidays we did was in Tekadi in Kerala. And we saw elephants, Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary. That's where it is home to the wild tuskers. But there are experiences like this where you actually get to bathe an elephant. You go on the river on a cruise, and you actually see the elephants and coming down to drink water and so on. So at that age, when children experience all this, it stays in their mind. Today, after 18 such holidays in their 20 years, they are actually talking about which holiday they like better. What do they remember from that holiday? And what they took home, and they're exchanging notes about, "No, actually I like this better," and so on. So this is Munnar, the tea plantations, and this is the Periyar Tiger Reserve. You see the two children just enjoying the bliss of nature, as I call it. I'm going to take you through places that we visit, and maybe I'll look at the questions later. Now, this is one particular picture. I want you to stop and look. Just look at the river that flows from the waterfall. This is nothing but Adirapalli Falls and the Chalakudi River, right here in Thrissur in Kerala, which is so accessible. Anybody can go there. You just come to Kerala, you just reach Thrissur by bus, by train, by flight, anything. And you go to this place and just look at it. You don't have to go to Niagara, right? I mean, Niagara is, I'm sure, much, much bigger and in terms of beauty and so on. But look at this. If you haven't seen this, then why are we looking for something else? You should first look at what we have in our backyard, is what I'm trying to tell you. The same Kerala trip, look at the kind of experiences they've had. We went to the forest and saw wild tuskers. We went to the tea plantations, and we actually, went to the Adirapalli Falls. We went to this is the Vembanad Lake, as it's called, to see the Chinese fishing nets. It's a beautiful cruise down during sunset, okay? And you go to the end of that and you actually stop there. The boat stops and you can see the Chinese fishing nets out there. It's a lovely experience. And any place you go to, you have to experience the culture of the place, right? You have to eat the local food. You have to listen to the music out there. You should watch the dances and see what is specific in terms of art or culture there. Here in Kerala, it is Kalari, which is the martial art, and Kathakali. And we went for a live performance of both. And the children loved it. We thought, would they sit, through a Kathakali show? They actually sat through it, because all those expressions that you find on the faces of the dancers, all this was new for them. And when they saw the Kalari performance, they were shocked, because they were actually fighting with real swords and fire. And I told them, this is the real Shah Rukh Khan, not the one that you see on the screen, because they are doing the real stunts. Coming from Kerala, we're moving towards Tamil Nadu. We went to a place called Anekatti, okay? And this is again all known for elephants. So Anekatti is a place where two rivers meet, the Sirvani and Bhavani rivers. Can you see the might of the river? And the guide is actually holding my hand so that I don't just get washed off. And look at the sights. Anekatti is a place where Sterling Resorts has a beautiful a resort out there, Sterling Resorts and Holidays. So perhaps that is the only one that is known, but you can look at other places too. And 45 minutes from there is the Silent Valley. So when you go to Anekatti, try to plan in such a way that you go to Silent Valley as well. And I don't have to talk about Silent Valley. You would all know about what it is. Please go and experience it yourself. This is the Sterling Resort I was talking to you about. Eco-friendly, all bamboo and wood. And even your tea time is facing the river, is by the river. So it's such a beautiful experience. It's so different from being in the city and doing your mundane everyday, whether you're studying for your university or people like us who are working. It's such a refreshing change for us, and it's not too far. It's just a few hours from the nearest place, which is Coimbatore. So you can reach Coimbatore by train, you can reach by flight, you can go by bus. It's all accessible. Acres Wild is one property that is not operational anymore, but this is in Kunur. This is another place which, which was one among our first visits, of course, with the children. They got to see how cheese was made, how cows were milked. Every morning they would wake up and go milk about 16 cows, 18 cows or whatever. They did treks. They went to tea plantations and they did the Ooty toy train ride. It's a 114-year-old Nilgiri mountain railway line. You have to go there. So for people who are from the north, I'm telling you, there's so much in the south for you to see. Similarly, I tell people in the south, you have to move out of your comfort zone. Just because you live in the south, don't just continue looking at places only in the south. You have to move and see what there is. So yeah, now I come to Karnataka, where Jungle Lodges and Resorts is a quasi-government organization that has 23 beautiful resorts all around Karnataka. Now, these are all pocket-friendly resorts, eco-friendly. The thing is, the food also is prepared by the villagers out there. So it's not just delicious, but you're actually giving them something to do and live with dignity. You have the river, you have the mountains, everywhere you go, they have a resort, which is more like a bamboo hut. It's a log hut. You'll have monkeys coming up and, snatching your food. And I mean, everything is so rustic, but you should be prepared for that kind of holidays. I'm talking about rustic holidays and pocket-friendly holidays because I'm talking to university students. You're not yet working. You cannot take so much money from your parents and say, I'm going on a holiday. I'm just going for a few days. It doesn't work that way. But what you can do is probably save a little money from your whatever you get. See if you can do at least one holiday every year so that you can see some new place, learn a new language, learn a new culture, and understand something. You'll also understand, is this the kind of place I want to be in? You might just discover something about yourself. Here again this is Coorg. It's again owned by Jungle Lodges and Resorts, Dubare. It's a Dubare Coorg property, where children actually get to spend the entire day with the elephants. They feed the elephants, they bathe the elephants, and you can spend the entire day with the elephants out there. At that age, they don't need anything else, and they learn so much that they come back and tell their friends too. You'll be surprised that right there in Coorg, which is in Karnataka and it's in South India, you have a Tibetan town. You have the monastery kind of an experience out there. You can eat momos, you can meet the monks out there. You'll forget you're actually in Karnataka. You'll really feel you're somewhere in the Northeast, or where this kind of an environment is usually seen. We can go kayaking. You can actually laze around and just watch crocodiles swimming. Crocodiles come to bask in the sun, if you see the picture on the left. So the experiences is what I'm trying to. So focus on the experiences. I am going to be rushing through the pictures because of in the interest of time. But please put your questions together and we can answer at the end of it. The Butterfly Park. This is another beautiful experience. Butterfly Park in Bannerghatta, which is just a few hours outside Bangalore city. Okay, you just drive. I'm saying hours because of the traffic. You just need to go there and experience the wilderness of that side, Bannerghatta. You can go on safaris. You have adventure activities. And a place like Butterfly Park is something that every student should go and visit, because there is so much to learn about the biodiversity, about nature. And you will find something like this in Singapore. I know we have in many other countries, but you don't even have to go that far. It's right here is what and very, very good quality. And the guides are so good. The people who come and explain everything to you, they're all from the local villagers who will come. Even on the safari, you'll find them coming. And they are people with true passion. When they come with us on the safari, you should see their innate instinct. They know exactly where they will spot a deer, spot a tiger even, or an elephant. And they know what exactly to do. And they're so natural with it. They don't have any airs about it. That's the beauty of going into rural India. Tiger safaris. You can live in machans and tree houses like this. I have only read about these things in my school days in the books that we read, where you can live in tree houses today. It's a reality. So, you can actually do it. And in your case, with all those information available at your fingertips on the phone, you can explore so much more. Just keep reading, just keep observing. This is one of my favorite places. It's the Riverton Lodge in Chikmagalur district in Karnataka. It's called the Riverton Lodge because the river tern, the bird, they come in flocks out there to nest on the banks of the beautiful river Bhadra. It's such a beautiful experience to see. You're going on a cruise on the river and you'll see these river terns actually coming there and nesting. And you also get to see a tiger if you're lucky during the cruise. I'm going to Andamans now. Andamans was an eye-opener for me. Andaman and Nicobar Islands, I have spoken to many expatriates, many foreigners. When we're talking about foreigners, people who travel a lot on work also. Nobody seems to know that, Andaman Nicobar Islands exists and it is managed by India. It's such a beautiful place. It's paradise, really, it's paradise. So you get off at Port Blair, and then if you have to go to, let's say you're going to Havelock Island, you have a cruise out there ready waiting for you. You sit there and it's such a classy looking thing. And it's a good 45-minute to 1 hour ride. And they explain everything about the place, and Andamans is known for scuba diving. So they'll tell you about the waters, about the marine life and so on. This is the Radhanagar beach in Havelock Island. Now, if you look at this, if I just put the picture there without showing you, where it is, you could easily think it is Thailand. It could be Vietnam, it could be Thailand, it could be one of those places because those beaches look very similar. So we have it all here. All you have to do is go to Port Blair, and there it's accessible by air, and you can do the ferry as well. And you get to Havelock, stay there for a few days, do a little bit of scuba diving, go for those treks. You can actually go for night river cruises. You can see fascinating parts of nature. Like for instance, if you can do underwater walking and see all those wonderful marine creatures, experiences are plenty. I can just go on and on. I'm trying to keep it as crisp as possible. From Andamans, I'm coming to Goa. I'm just trying to tell you how much there is in India to explore. So the other side of Goa is what I want to explain to you. I've done this in a couple of webinars before. Dudhsagar is a place which is known for the waterfalls that look like gallons of milk that is gushing down. So I went there and wrote about it, and that's the article you see. Dudhsagar was, I got inspired to go to rural Goa after seeing Finding Fanny, that was a Deepika Padukone movie, which actually showed rural Goa. Because Goa is all about Baga Beach, Vagator Beach, Kalangote Beach, and the beaches and parties and, the lifestyle of Goans. But the actual Goa, if you want to discover, you should go and see how Feni is made. Feni is a drink which is an inherent part of Goan culture. It's made out of the cashew fruit. And you should go and live in a Portuguese mansion, which is hundreds of years old, and experience what it was like. It's a place where there's huge Portuguese influence in everything that you will see, even in the food. The languages that are spoken in Goa, you will be amazed. It's Konkani, Marathi, Kannada, and Hindi, of course, English. So in just one little union territory out there, 5 languages are spoken. So you can imagine the diversity that you will experience when you go to this place. Then comes to Maharashtra, Purishwadi Fireflies Festival. Now this is again, for those of you who are somewhere in Maharashtra, it could be Pune, it could be Bombay. You just need to step out. It's a drive, 2 hours drive. You'll go to this place. Please connect with Grassroots. They're a fantastic NGO that is doing a lot of work in improving lives of tribals in these villages and giving them something to do, making them the guides and taking people around, guests around. So we stayed in one of those very rustic places. We saw fireflies. This picture was shot by a professional photographer, so it's off the net website, but because nobody can, I mean, if you're not a professional photographer, people like me cannot shoot a picture like that, but this is what you will see. Tens of thousands of fireflies sitting on one tree in the middle of the night. At 10 o'clock, you'll go and witness it. And there'll be it's like a multitude of people coming to see it, but this pin drop silence. All of us like-minded going there just to witness the spectacle. So on the right side, yes, that's yours truly, that's me. When I say go to a place and experience the culture, also try and be a part of that culture. Visit people, go to the villages, speak to the villagers out there, go into their kitchens. They actually love it. They feel a little shy, but they actually love it. We walked into a lady's house and told her, can we come for lunch? And, she was hesitant at one point in time, but then we told her, no, we'll pay you. Can you please do a simple lunch for us? And she actually made lunch for us. And the children loved it. It's just dal, roti, bindi, kachumbar and so on. But it was so fascinating that you can sit there and eat in somebody's house and she's looking at you like, okay, you're actually my guest. And she loved it. And they made me wear the sari in the Maharashtrian way. And they love the fact that we become part of their family. I think that is so important, make them feel like we're all one. Now, like I said, Grassroots, that's the organization I was talking about. You can actually go around the village and see people work there and do their daily routines. But you actually go there and be a part of it. Try to talk to them and learn from them how they do it. And you'll be amazed how they are so happy doing what they do. They don't have any complaints in life. That is what I learned when I went to rural India. Most of the time, you see, they are happy in their space. Again, this is strawberry picking in Mahabaleshwar. You actually get to see strawberry farms. You can pick the strawberries, eat it. You can drink ganne ka ras out there. And the children can run around the fields and get a feel of all that and then breathe the fresh air. What you pick is what you eat. You pick the strawberries and you put it in it goes into the factories, it goes into jams, it goes into squashes. So, and there are women actually who stand on the sides of the roads when you drive out of the village, selling pickles and masalas made in their houses. So buy those things, buy those things, because they're all, you're adding to their livelihood. So you're making them feel that they are also working and doing something out of what they know to do. This again is Tamini Ghats, which I have to show you one picture on the left side. You see, I was stunned looking at this. I went because a friend of mine was working in the Mahindra school out there. It's again in near outside Pune, a few hours outside Pune. You go to a place, it's the local people who will tell you where to stop and what to see. So the driver actually told us, ma'am, just 1 minute, just stop here. We want to talk to you. And, do you want to see something? And they actually took us to this place, which really, to me, it seemed like an Indian version of a Grand Canyon, So it's overwhelming out there. Nature is overwhelming to a point. Tamini Ghats, you don't miss this. And look at the kind of accommodation you will go and stay in. There are different ways of doing eco-friendly cottages today. This is at Save Farms in Maharashtra again. Meet people out there, talk to them. They're all national award weavers and artists. They feel so good when they are spoken to, take their pictures, because they need that recognition too. Yes, they won the national award, but how many of them actually go and buy from them after that? How many of them go and make them feel important? So do your bit when you go and meet these people. This is a Warli art, and this is the weavers in Maharashtra. There's an art village outside Bombay, a few hours again, where you can actually go and learn pottery and art. It's the one on the left. And then you have places like Malad Machi, which is on the banks of the Mulshi Dam. And look at the resort that I'm showing you, Jal Shrishti Island Resort. It's actually like an island resort, which you only seen in the movies or read in the books. It's right there outside Bombay. The International Kite Festival, yet another experience you should add to your bucket list, because this is where every January, people come together from different parts of the world for competitions, kite flying competitions, and creativity is at its best at that time. The sizes of the kites and the patterns and the designs. And we took the children to Sabarmati Ashram to experience what life was in those days like, because they read about it in the history books. And I think they should go there and see what it was. Just the calm and the peace that you find there, I think, made the children also feel like there was so much happening in history then, and we just read about it. I'm moving up north to Uttarakhand. This is at Sitla Estate, where you have accommodation that can actually show you the Himalayas right there when you wake up. Your mornings will begin like this. I could have put in more pictures. We don't have the time. I could talk even more about each place, but I'm sorry. I'm just going to just show you a little bit. This is more like a teaser for you to say that in one country, we have so many places and so many experiences that you can gain that you don't really need to fret about, okay, where do I go next? What holiday should I do? I'm also going to come to the point where how to travel and how to plan your travel. So let me just go through this soon. So in Uttarakhand, there is Kilmora, which is a brand promoted by the Kumaon Gramin Udyog, and they make the best of jams and squashes and masalas and, weaving shawls and all the stuffed toys that you see and so on. And everything is towards women's empowerment, making them employable with the craft that they know and that they are blessed with, because that region, this is what they do. And then making that into a business so that they earn money and they also feel good about what they're doing. Amrik Sukhdev Dhaba is right outside Delhi. And for me, a South Indian like me, to go out there and see at 2:30, this picture was shot at 2:30 in the morning. 2:30 in the morning, the place was buzzing with activity. People were ordering food of all kinds. And I'm not talking about tourists alone. They're all the local people too. So it's an experience. And when you go to Amrik Sukhdev Baba, I heard people observing. Now, I've not been to that part of London to say what it is like. They said, oh, it's exactly like how it is in UK. And I didn't know that. But I'm saying, if you go in, you'll know all the chocolates that are, displayed, all the sweetmeats that's there. Everything is, you have to just go there to look at the food that is available. So I'm not used to, as a South Indian, eating makhan like this, right? We don't eat this amount of makhan. But when they put it on the makki di roti, it tasted so good. And I just forgot my yoga and my waistlines and so on. I said, like, who can say no to this? It was delicious. 2:30 in the morning, I was eating sarson da saag and makki di roti. So we went to Chandigarh. I'm going up north now. This is a gentleman who insisted that, I should talk to him and, hear his stories about how he started this business, this dhaba. And yes, these are my favorite pictures. And the food was to die for. We went to Rohtang Pass after that. We went to Himachal and we went to Rohtang Pass. We saw the Atal Tunnel. We went riding in the snow. All this was as recent as Diwali last year. So I'm talking about COVID or not. If you're safe and if you know where to travel and how to travel, I think you can go where you want. And I was so fascinated listening to the news about Atal Tunnel being opened now. And I think that's something for us to be proud about. We actually went there and sang a song, looking at nature, because so many songs from our movies, describing nature. It looks so beautiful. I've not seen snow, in like this in my life. So for me, it was my first experience. And you have Maggie in the mountains. Can you imagine? You eat Maggie every day, but there is a man making hot Maggie when you go to Rohtang Pass, and you will stop there and eat, and you will not get that taste if you make Maggie at home also. And at the same time, there was a man whose Jeep was parked out there. I'm sorry, I don't have a picture. I only had a video. His Jeep was parked and there was smoke coming out of it because he had let it on, and he had just callously let it on, saying that he had to let the motor run, and it was polluting the entire place. So the minute he saw me take a video, he came up to me and said, "Video mat lijiye, please," because he said he realized that I might put it on Twitter or I might put it on social media and shame him. But yes, those kinds also exist. We did the hot air balloon, and those are the kind of views that you get. Now, this hot air balloon guy, he actually taught me something. He told me about the Negi community. This is what I'm saying. You talk to the locals and you learn so much. He spoke to me about the Negi community, and something very nice I learned. The Negi community, apparently, they live for about 6 months or so in complete snow. So they have really nothing much to do. So what do they end up doing? They study. And apparently, most of them appear for IAS and they are successful at it. That was a story that blew my mind, because I said, who would ever imagine, if this guy hadn't told me this, I wouldn't even know something like that existed. And he told me many more stories about Negi community, which I don't have the time now to say. But you should know that talking to these locals can open your mind much, much more than anything else that you will read anywhere. Look at the craft of Himachal. Every place has its own unique craft. So that is what you need to you need to respect, and you need to admire, because this is done painstakingly by hand. And look at the apples. And we've all seen Kashmiri apples in boxes, but when we actually saw them picked and brought to the stores like this, it was a beautiful experience. We bought the jams and the weaving, the shawls, Trishla shawl factory. We went there, and that again is a place where women empowerment was evident, because most of them were sitting there and weaving, and even the people in the store were women. And the way they were convincing us to pair up this shawl. I'm actually wearing a Fulkari dupatta from Chandigarh, so I deliberately wore it to show people that you go there and buy the art of that particular place, and you feel proud that you own a part of India in your house. So if you come to my house, it's like that. Every part of the house will have something from some part of India that I've traveled. It's beautiful, because when somebody comes and asks me, where is it from? And I can tell them, oh, I picked it up from Himachal. And, this person, there'll be a story behind it. And that will give you the memory that it associated with it. Now I'm saying, I'm coming down to practical, how to travel, what you should do towards traveling. And I would encourage you to read. I think that all of you have started using the smartphones. Read on your smartphones. I don't care, but read. So read about India. This book, Amazing India, is something I use even in my cultural training programs for expatriates, because it gives you a state by state dissection of all aspects of culture. whether it's food, music, festivals, everything. It's I bought it for my daughter when she was in school, but I use it more like a guide today. And articles in the papers. Every time there's an article, what I'm trying to tell you is cut it out, maintain like a diary and put it out there like a scrapbook, So you will have at the end of the year, if you look at it, you would have made a scrapbook of articles of places that you want to visit or you would love to visit. And you can plan accordingly based on the season and based on what your interests are. This book by Outlook, I'm a fan of Outlook Traveler and I buy all their magazines. And this book is called Responsible Escapes. Beautiful. A lot of information about where you can go if you're an eco-friendly person, if you're an eco-conscious person, and you can go to places and experience what it is like to live sustainably. And it's possible today. Here, this is my bucket list of travels. I want you to know that you should make a book or a diary and write down places you want to see. If you've never seen Kerala, put it out there and you know that someday you will go and visit Kerala. If I had never seen snow in my life, at 52, I said, I must see snow before I die. And I went there. So it's in the same country. There's so many, clients of mine who ask me, you mean you live in India and you've never seen snow in your life? I haven't, because I haven't gone that far up north. That is the vast geography of India and the diversity. I can live my entire life not seeing snow at all, but there's still so much more to see. So I'm saying, please read books, articles, blogs, watch all travel channels, TV, YouTube, Insta, whatever you have. Just keep filling your mind with a lot of travel stories because that will inspire you. Make notes, research and plan. I think that is so important. Now I'm saying it's not where you travel, but how. This was written by a Canadian writer who apparently lives in Rishikesh, and she's traveled solo for the last 5 years. I wish I could pick her blog and share it, but you should know how she's giving you advice on traveling in India. They love our country, by the way. Despite all they hear, they like to come here and discover it for themselves, and they go back feeling it's not at all what they have read. Which is why I use this everywhere as a caveat. I use it saying, whatever you can rightly say about India, the opposite is also true. That again was said by a British lady. And if you say this up front, then you can say anything else because, we can, I would have said something to you about, Himachal apples and somebody will say, no, actually that's not true, but it's not done like this. So this helps me, this bails me out. Now I want to introduce Madhavi Shah to you. She is a solo traveler. She's a woman traveler. And I spoke to her yesterday. Unfortunately, I could only get through to her yesterday. So she's traveled for years. Now she's been traveling alone into all kinds of places in India and by train and by bus. So, she has given us some advice that I'm happy to share it with you. She writes her bucket list or her plans or her, whatever she wants to do. She jots down in a little book like that. So she says that her research is very extensive. The minute she knows where she wants to go, she researches that place and she writes down even the commute, the how you're going to manage it and the time it'll take and so on. Extensive research, but that is sensible. So now this again, knowledge is power, definitely for the solo traveler. This is what they say. And she says, as a Madhavi, this is what Madhavi says, as a male, she would have even taken, if she was, traveling alone and she was a man, she would have taken lifts from truck drivers and gone anywhere. And she would have even loved it. Unfortunately, for women, there are some things that you do and you don't. And we have to be careful. Travel by all means and feel empowered to travel, but do the right things. So she says, these are all Madhavi's points, of course. Download the Lonely Planet guidebooks. So there are many guidebooks. You should download these on your phone today and use them as a guide for you wherever you're going. Wiki Voyage, vlogs, blogs, everything. She says you can even try to meet the Dalai Lama if you really want to, which means if you have a plan and if you work towards it, it's all possible. You can do it. Jot down important numbers, names, bus timings, etc. in a diary. It's not just a backup, but can also be an important part of your memory later, she says. Nothing beats the value of local insights. Like I told you before, yes, talk to the local people. Talk to people at a store. people at a restaurant or something like that, than to a taxi driver. That's what she says. Instead of talking to a taxi driver or a guide who's a professional there, it might help sometimes to get whether the information that you have on hand is right or not. It could confirm your research information. Yes, keep maps handy too. And only if you have a plan should you share it with your family. I think this is a very valuable information. You're all young, and I'm a mother of a 20-year-old, so I know what it means. When I know my child is going away somewhere and I want to know where exactly she's going, is she safe? Is she inside a room by 6 o'clock in the evening, and so on. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a concrete plan. And only when you know that you can share it with your family should you do that. Okay? Don't keep them at the tip of anxiety. Traveling solo is all about going with the flow. So yes, when you go solo, the advantage is you can do things at your own wish and whim. So you can, like she says, if you like a particular view in a certain place, you could stay on. If you don't like your host, you can just move on. So there's so much you can do. And then she says, this is very nice and I like it. You start your trip on your own, but along the way, you're sure to meet people and traveling the same path. They might be the same wavelength. They might be the same, with the same mindset, and then you realize you're not alone at all. Actually, in the world, there are about 7 billion plus people traveling. So you're not alone. It just gives you a very reassuring feeling, right? Now, safe travels for women. Yeah, there are some tips that I have to share with you. I even wrote about being safe in India for an international magazine. None of the statistics will tell you that India is a more dangerous country than any other place. In fact, if you read this article on the right, it clearly says that Sweden and USA are all way up there compared to India when it comes to being unsafe for women. However, we have an image, but you need to go out there and see it for yourself. Be aware. You have to be mindful. You have to be cognizant of what is happening around you, and you have to be sensible. You need to know what your personality is. If you're the kind who prefers to come back home by a certain time and not explore anything at night, do that. Ideally, do that. Your attitude, your confidence, everything will matter. Don't look scared when people are looking at you. I always say, don't make eye contact with strangers. That is something I tell women. If you make eye contact with strangers, chances are that they can sense fear. And don't allow a man to sense fear in you. That is so important when you're traveling alone. I've seen that. Choose a safe time of the day to travel. And yes, get under a roof before it's dark. We've said this many times. It is better to be safe than sorry. That way, it also, she says, Madhavi says, you can come back to your room and you might get enough time to talk to your, co-hosteliers or whoever guests that you're staying with, or even the host. You could chat up with the host and learn a few things about that particular place. So many things that you wouldn't read about on the internet or even in any book. Trust your human instincts. That is so important. You know when to, fight or flight, they say. You have to know when there is an unpredictable situation, and these are bound to happen. You need to trust your instinct and see what should be done at that time, which is why I'll come to that again, but I think you always need to keep your phones charged. We'll come to that slide. Ask information at a local grocery store, like we said. Yes, spending has been inversely proportional to the experiences gathered. So she says, instead of taking, for instance, she's giving an example. Instead of taking a 2,500 rupee taxi from Goa, you can actually take a bus to Vasco. So there are many other options to talk to the locals, and they will help you. It can cut down on your cost, and you can also drive, have a safe ride to the place that you're going to, and you might be able to save time as well. So these are things we would encourage you to do. Again, among the do's and don'ts, we're saying that every state is different from the other. Don't think that just because you've come down to South India sometime, I know South India. No, it's not. They're all 4 different states. They're all 4 different languages, different kinds of people, different kinds of attitudes, cultures, everything. So please read up about the culture, even if you're familiar with the place and region. Most Indians are the warmest, friendly people, but you still need to keep your antennae up there. Being nice and naive are 2 different things. For instance, you can be nice to people, but when they get too friendly, you know where to stop, put that wall around you. You have to know where to stop. You have to just be cordial to people. Do not give any personal information. This is especially for women. Do not give personal information at all. even if you have to, you can give information of somebody who's a male and somebody who'd come to your protection, is what I would say. Meet like-minded people and choose group activities so that you're there doing things together. And ITDC offers fantastic packages out there. You must look up their website. There are a lot of NGOs too who give you a lot of travel packages based on the interest that you have. So look up and find NGOs who are doing genuine causes for rural India, for women, for youth, actually. Yeah. Your travel and stay, you should book your tickets well in advance. You should have planned very well. And there is one Westerner says, pick the upper berth on a train. So perhaps that makes sense too. And opt for a second sleeper, the sleeper class or a third AC and not the second class. I believe in that too, because the second class can be a little intimidating if you're not traveling with a male member or if you're not in a group at least. So do those things that will keep you safe. Arrive and depart from your travel destination at a time that is safe. Please look up ITDC hotels. You have the Youth Hostel Association, YHAI. They all offer affordable, clean, and safe places, and they're not very far off from where you want to go, which means accessibility won't be an issue either. I would say book directly on the website. Sometimes that helps, because all said and done, if there's something that's going wrong, you can always go back to them. So these are the things I told you, the ITDC website and the Youth Hostels Association. You can have a safe and comfortable stay with all these people. Technology is your strength. So use it to the best. Make good use of it. All the smartphones, research well, plan, make notes, put it on your phone, put all the videos that you want to where you're going. You can actually do your Google videos and put it out there. Download all the necessary apps to be safe. I believe the Indian Police on Call app is very good. There's a women's safety app. There's a DigiLocker for your documents, your travel apps, guides, everything. Make sure that you've got all those before you go. Make sure you're very well planned. That's the key thing here. Yeah, your phones have to be charged. Power banks have to be handy. You have to, this is something that we've noticed we can do. When you're traveling in a bus and you feel intimidated that you're alone, or you feel you're feeling a little lonely, just call up somebody, call a friend or a family and talk to them, because that makes you feel a little lighter. You know that you're talking to somebody, and people around also know that you're connected to somebody. So it really helps. It's a psychological thing, but it really helps. I would say name dropping also helps, because we had a bad incident on a railway once, and I had to drop in names of people we knew from the railway department, so that would intimidate those people, who were causing a little trouble for us. And I would say that it probably helps at that time. You just have to say, why don't we just call so-and-so? He's the chief engineer in the railways, or he's so-and-so in the railways. So you can use, or even a police, somebody in the family or among your friend circles. So sometimes when you sense trouble coming, you have to be just a little smart and do these things. Travel responsibly, that is so important. This is another section itself we should have, but we don't have the time for it. Responsible travel is all about being sensitive to the earth, sensitive to nature, sensitive to the local culture, to the people, and protecting their land. You go to look at somebody's place, right? Somebody visits your house, and if they come and make a mess of your house, after they leave, you're going to say, what kind of people are they? Don't they have any culture? Similarly, when you go to visit a place, especially in rural India, they keep their environment so well that they don't want you to come and throw litter or plastic. Say no to plastic. Don't litter, and don't do all this only when you're traveling. Please inculcate this as a culture in your everyday lives. It's very difficult, whether it's your own family or your friends, it's very difficult to change them, but don't bother. You change as an individual. That makes a big difference. I remember back in school, there was a friend of mine, Venki, who said we should not litter, and we would save all our papers and any litter, toffee wrappers in our pockets. We would keep it in our pockets and walk around till we reached a dustbin or reached home. But that habit has stayed. I have made another friend, Hari, do it. He's done that to many others. So, don't wait for the world to change. Don't wait for people in your family, people in your friend circle, everybody to change. You change and you stick to that. You continue that, so that Whether you live your life every day or whether you go on a travel, to some place, you will follow that strictly. As much as possible, carry your own steel water bottles so you don't buy those water bottles unnecessarily. You can fill water from wherever you stay, wherever you go to. If you know the water is safe, you can get boiled water, you can get safe water, you can fill it up. So make these small changes in your everyday life also. What I'm trying to tell you is, wherever you travel, you should gather experiences and discover yourself. You're all university students, most of you who are tuning in today, and you might tell me that, oh yeah, but we need money for that, or we need. No, you can plan. You can take local bus, you can eat local dishes. You don't have to go to the best of restaurants in that place. The best I'm talking about can be the local one. Talk to people, find out where you can. I think that makes a big difference. Talking to people, when I say strangers, it means, I think this also was something that Madhavi told me about. When you talk to strangers, we mean strangers in a different land, but they soon become your friends. You listen to their stories and you have something to share with others. I want to play a video for you. This is from another traveler, a girl called Priyamvada, who's based in Bangalore. And she is a travel and tourism graduate too. And she works with expatriates like me. She helps them with all their immigration needs. And she is a traveler who's done so well, travels length and breadth of the country over the years as a woman. And she's inspired so much that she started something called Tuk Tuk Travels. I can get the name later, Tuk Tuk, which actually teaches children about different parts of the world through lovely little experiences that these girls have had. So you can do so much today. You can start a career with travel if you know exactly what you want to do. So let me see. Now your journey begins, but before that, I will play Priyamvada's video for you.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Priyamvada Majumdar and I'm absolutely thrilled and honored to be speaking to you today on a subject that I'm fiercely passionate about, traveling. So thank you Bindu Meminan for giving me this platform to speak to young minds. About 20 years ago, I was where you are today, an university student doing my master's in travel and tourism administration. From there, I've gone on to work in the global mobility industry where I help corporate clients relocate their employees from one country to another for work. But enough about myself. Today is about traveling, the joy it brings, and the lessons it teaches us. Growing up, my dad would often tell me travel is education, and I never quite understood what he meant by it. Later on, I realized that subconsciously I had picked up life skills, important life skills, thanks to my travels. Life skills such as adaptability, being open minded, being resourceful, having better communication skills, organizational skills, and as a woman, being more aware and confident in any unknown environment. I began my travels, I think during my university days, by myself or with a group of friends. Simple day trips in local buses, nothing luxurious. And we didn't have GPS at that time. So we had to rely on strangers to give us directions or recommend restaurants or local markets and so on. From that, I also explored government package tours like KSTDC, taking us from Bangalore to Belur and Halibir. I even took my parents along because it was well organized. You're in an air-conditioned bus. There's a guide. There is a lunch stop, so it was easy. This then gave me the confidence to go on overnight trips, especially train journeys, because India really has an extensive rail network and I took full advantage of it and visited absolutely beautiful locations, whether it was Hampi or Kochi or Ajmer, Puri in Orissa or Tanjore. I loved these trips and I realized that they were not as scary or difficult as as I had imagined them to be. I learned, to adjust with different types of food, dress code, timings, not all states in India or not all regions in India have the same waking and sleeping hours. So that impacts opening hours of shops and restaurants, for example. And my vocabulary changed. For instance, I would no longer say my city and your city. It would all be about my favorite cities in India. um, you know, little by little, I realized that my comfort zone had expanded. It had gone bigger and bigger. Again, as women, I think we sometimes put this imaginary Lakshman Rekha around us, and I was able to step out of it. I realized that I had less to fear than fear itself. These skills were were useful to me, and I suppose they will be useful to you, whether you decide to join an university or do further studies in a city that is not your own, or in one that you didn't grow up in, or join a company where you have to work with a diverse set of colleagues, whether it's communication skills or adaptability or resourcefulness. These skills will be useful to you. So I wish you lots of travel. I hope that you will take this opportunity in the coming days to discover India, it's your country, and through these travels, you will be able to learn more about yourself and develop skills that will be useful to you. So here's to Apna Desh Dekho. Bye.
Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Bintuji. You can stop sharing then.
Yeah.
So first of all, let me thank Bintuji. She took us from north to south, south to north rather, south to north, and so many beautiful places. It was a real learning experience, and I'm sure your children must be groomed very well because the experiential learning which they got during the process of their growing up, which was, of course, done by you as a passion. So it must have made them a very, very, I mean, holistic development of the child must have been there. And I'm sure many of our students must have been encouraged to do a lot of traveling, seeing your experience. And not only the places they visit, also the experiences they learn. I myself witnessed, like I would say 6 months back, we went to a agricultural university in Pantnagar. And there, when we saw the agricultural practice, like they made us sow the replantation of paddy plants. I mean, retransplanting the paddy crop and standing in the mud and doing it, seeing how the honey is taken out of the honeybees, how the dairy is maintained, how the fishery is maintained, everything. It was so fascinating, and I was so excited that when I came back to AIU, we made an MOU with ICAR that many of our students who are not from the agricultural background, who are from the general universities, they should go to the agricultural universities and experience all these agricultural practices. They should practically sow the seeds, or say put the pesticides or fertigation or fertilization or anything, even see how the honey is taken out, even sort of taking out the milk from the cows and all. So it is so fascinating. So that experiential learning is something which is very, very important. That is what we learned from your talk today. And also what I also suppose is that if you really want to experience, you should travel on a small budget. If you travel on a big budget, you just go on, say, aeroplanes and stay in 5-star hotels. You are not really exploring. So if you are traveling on a meager budget, you will travel on trains. On the way, you will talk to so many people. You will travel by public transport. Again, you will speak to so many people. So that will be a real learning experience. And students are always short of budget. So traveling on a small budget, that is more exploratory. Traveling solo or in friends, both are equally good. So do explore a lot of traveling. And I'm sure now you all must be waiting for the quiz, because with the quiz you get a lot of prizes also. So there is a quiz which is crafted just for you based on the talk of Binduji. So whatever she has spoken for 1 hour, that all is put in the form of questions in the quiz. So if you have carefully seen uh, and heard her, you will be able to get full marks in the quiz. And once you do it well, we'll be giving you many, many prizes. Recent prize was a visit to Nagaland. A group of students went to Nagaland on the government expense, and they were really excited about it. So do explore the country. It is very beautiful, very rich culturally, tourism. All the landscapes are there, whether it is hill or rivers or oceans or deserts, everything is there in India. So do go on exploratory trip. And thank you, Binduji. Thank you for sharing with us those beautiful slides, those personal photographs, which really, I mean, I was also thinking of going to many, many of those places. So thank you very much. Thanks to Ministry of Tourism for organizing this program in collaboration with Association of Indian Universities. Association of Indian Universities, as you know, is a association of something like 870 universities. And the students who have joined today, they should be knowing that we are running a lot of sports events, including Khelo India University Games. We are running many youth affairs programs where you can be presenting your, say, skills, talent in those festivals. So a lot many things are being done by AIU. So do come, explore country, explore AIU, and explore your university wherever you are, and do participate. It's all, it shouldn't be all studies. It should be studies plus sports plus culture plus tourism plus everything. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks to all for joining. All the best for the quiz. And thank you, Binduji, for joining us today. Thank you very much.
So much. I don't think 1 hour is enough to cover India. And
yes.
I felt I was rushing in many places, but I had to just tease everybody with that little bit. It's like a teaser. It's like, I had to put that picture out there just so you know that you can do these small travels, and it's all just in your backyard. I think that's the message we wanted to give you.
Actually, whole life is not enough to explore the country.
Not at all. I seriously think so. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you,
Motish, for listening in and for all the wonderful comments that are coming in.
Comments are really good. They are so enthralled, and then they're talking about how did you manage different languages, how are you doing it, and then there are many invites also that if you want to come to Ladakh, be my guest.
I will. So, yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I think one person has also asked, which is a place that you went to that made you fall in love with traveling. Some beginner backpacker. It's my home. It's my home in Kerala. When you wake up and you see that kind of a view, that just makes you feel you want to travel to places like that and discover more. So I think it all begins in your backyard. That's the message of this presentation. We don't see what is there right close to our house. All of you go back to your villages now, go back to your little towns and see what new thing you can find. Go put it out there on YouTube, start a story about it and share it with the world. I think that's more important.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, and do attempt the quiz, all the children. Do attempt the quiz and wait for our next episode. We'll be with you soon. Thank you very much.
India, a global destination for sustainable tourism. Where the government is empowering people to take up responsible tourism as a mission. Encouraging nature-friendly tourism products. Eco-living initiatives. Community living through homestays. Offering sustained livelihood to the local communities. promoting reuse and recycle of water and eco-friendly practices. Teaching homestead farmers take up vegetable cultivation and supply to hotels. Breathing organic opulence. Conserving forest and wildlife. Goal is sustainable. Destination is India.
Incredible India.
We are live now. So we are live, you can start.
Yes. So, very good afternoon to all, and welcome to today's orientation session on Institutions Innovation Council 4.0. As the name indicates, we are now in the 4th edition of Institutions Innovation Council. And today we are going to talk about the achievements we did so far. And when I say we, that means our institutions, our IIC institutions. And also we'll talk about the new features has been added to this IIC 4.0 portal, and will make you familiar about these features so that you will use it efficiently, and also it will help in making the IIC network grow to the next level. First of all, I will welcome all IIC institutions, presidents, head of the institutions, conveners, coordinators, student members, faculty members, and external expert members. Those are part of these IIC councils established in more than 2,700 educational institutions. It's good to share with you all that now IIC network has spread into each and every parts of our country, and we have these IIC net institutions are now present in almost all states and union territories. And it's actually a pleasure, because we started with only 400 in first year, and now we have reached to 2,700. And recently we have announced this Institutions Innovation Council 3.0 annual performance result. And we're expecting by end of this IIC 4.0, we will reach to a target of 5,000 Institutions Innovation Councils. And it will only happen if you all will put your efforts and make these institutions councils to grow. To talk you about in depth about various initiatives and how these policy programs are actually contributing and enabling our institutions to develop their capacity and empowering the stakeholders, especially the students and faculties, to build up their skills, mindset, attitude, and aspirations while engaging with various innovation and entrepreneurship activities during their academic engagement. So this is a kind of first time of its kind is happening, where through a multi-pronged approach in the strategy, we are trying to achieve the desired result of making our institutions innovative, entrepreneurial, and also helping them to develop that conducive climate in their institutions and connecting